Hey guys, Tyler Jeffcoat with Seller Accountant, and a question that we get fairly frequently is, when do I need to set up an LLC, or should I incorporate or create an entity for my e-commerce business? And the way we answer this question is honestly, a lot of times we really like entities. I prefer them over filing as a sole proprietorship for several reasons that I'll share with you in a second. But here's the test, because occasionally your business might be so small and so insignificant that it doesn't make sense to pay the burden of having an entity kind of complicating your taxes. And so I call this the hobby test. So if this is such a hobby that the volume is really low and that paying a few $100s a year to, kind of maintain an LLC and file those taxes feels like a huge number, a few $100s, whoa, that kills this entire thing. Maybe I have some friends that occasionally come across like a really cool baseball card. They might go on eBay and sell it, but it's not a business. They're just making a few bucks here and there when they find a cool piece of memorabilia or a baseball card or something like that, and they just sell it. That's a hobby. Probably doesn't make sense to make an LLC if that's your situation. Now, it's different as soon as you get above the hobby level. Once it moves from hobby to true side hustle, or from side hustle to true business, having a separate entity is almost a no-brainer. It's really, really important. And let me just give you a couple of reasons why I think having a separate entity can really be helpful to you. The first one is it's just easier to get funding. So if I'm a sole proprietorship, kind of a sole prop when I'm running my business, the only lending that I'm ever going to qualify to get is kind of a personal signature guarantee, which, to be honest, for a new business is going to be the case for you anyway. But if you start an LLC, have some financials, have some tax returns, that after a few years, you're going to have the credibility in the banking world to actually get a standalone loan for your business, and you're able to get more money to help you fund your growth. So funding is the first reason. The second reason is the one you hear all the time, just liability. Let's just say, for instance, you're selling a supplement and somebody chokes on it, or somebody gets hurt, heaven forbid, something like that, right? Where something goes wrong with your product and there could be liability. Having a clearly separated legal entity is the only way to make sure that your personal assets, your home, your retirement accounts are not at risk if something were to go terribly wrong and you ended up in court. We hope that never happens, but we like having a separate legal entity to protect ourselves as the entrepreneurs. Third reason is that it's easier to make the right deductions on your taxes. Think about this. If you're maybe you take a business contact out for dinner, and so you're going to be able to write off a portion of that meals and entertainment, but you use the same credit card that you used to take your wife on a date or your husband on a date last week. Well, your ability to go in front of the IRS and defend which of those transactions are valid business transactions, which you can deduct at least a portion of, versus a personal expense where you can't deduct it, becomes really murky and muddy if you don't have a separate entity, where you have separate credit card, separate checking account, that kind of thing. And so again, what ends up happening for most of us who are kind of honest taxpayers is we don't deduct all of the expenses we could deduct unless we have a separate entity where it's easy to defend those deductions. And then finally, I'll say this, it is much easier to track your profitability as a business if it's separate. If I have my checking account and my credit card that are fully dedicated to my seller business, and I'm actually running a bookkeeping system, whether you hire a firm like Seller Account or do it yourself or hire somebody else to do it, I have a system, and now I'm not having to worry about commingling. Oh, wait a minute, no, that was a personal expense. Oh, that was actually my vacation. I've got it separate into an entity so that I can actually drive superior results in my business. For me as a CFO, this is the one that gets me the most excited. Yeah, I want to be compliant. Yeah, I want to be able to raise funding down the line. Yes, I want to make sure that I have my liability covered, but I want to make money doing this business. And my ability to see where my money is coming from and where it is going is really only possible if you completely separate these buckets. I've got its own standalone entity for my business, and I've got an own I am my own entity for my personal life. And so just again, if it's a hobby, I do a few transactions a month, my volume is low, probably just run it as a sole proprietorship. But as soon as it elevates to the level of this is a business, or at least a significant side hustle, spend a few $100 and set up an LLC, do it the right way so that things are separate. If I want to sell it down the line, I can sell it. It just is going to make your life easier. And I hope that helped you. Hope you have a great day. Take care.